Hey, good morning, folks. I'm Live Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here with the MLive Morning Weather Update. A lot going on in weather. We do have to watch the pretty significant chance of severe weather here coming up tomorrow evening, night, I guess we'd call it. I'll give you the timeline here in just a second. Here we go. By the way, I slept through my alarm. Couple of things. Bagel on Mother's Day woke up and one of his back legs just is hanging there. He's not in any pain, so we're trying to get him through, but that means waking up in the middle of the night and carrying him out in the yard and all that stuff. So that was a destroyed sleep pattern, but here we go. And we'll start with, just bear with me a second here. We will start with the severe weather chances. Okay. And there it is. So remember, before we get into this, so we can talk severe weather, we have about 5 levels of severe weather severity in the forecast. Level 1 is what is worded marginal. Level 2 is worded slight. We've kind of gone away from the marginal, slight, especially because level 3 is called enhanced. What does that mean to a person? Is that the worst? And then we have moderate and we have high. So we have some enhanced or level 3 areas of severe weather in the forecast, and that's that like orangish color, I guess I would say. And again, that's for tomorrow. Some of the wording here, let me just share it with you. Let's see here. Okay. Right here, upper Mississippi Valley and western Great Lakes. What they say is okay, down here with time, persistent, strong forcing. So they talk about Minnesota where the severe weather is going to start, and then with time, persistent, strong forcing along the front should promote some degree of upscale growth clustering. That would be into our area. Though supercells will remain likely on the southern fringe of the line where capping will remain stronger and favor more isolated convection. Bear with me here. The potential for some longer-lived supercells may be maximized across southeast Wisconsin into adjacent portions of Illinois, northern Indiana, and southwest lower, meaning that there's going to be kind of what we call a triple point where the warm front is below the jet core, and the cold front is banging into both of those. Forecast sounding depict elevated storm relative helicity. That's a twisting in the atmosphere values on the order of 200 to 300. That's pretty high, suggesting a significant tornado threat could materialize. Confidence in the coverage of such cells remains limited, but trends will be monitored for the need for increased tornado risk probabilities. So what they're saying is that they have the tornado risk at 5% from Traverse City to Saginaw to Detroit, Ann Arbor, south and west. They have the high wind gust at 30% in that region. Now, what's interesting is, well, yesterday they just had a generic 10% hatched area, and they still have that 10% hatched area for tomorrow evening. I'm going to call it 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. Thursday to 2 a.m. Friday, depending on the timing. And of course, the earlier it is, the more severe it will be because of the heat of the day. But that's the large hail forecast right there. The black dashed lines, that area is shaded. No, just updated on me. That black area shaded has a greater probability, 10% or greater probability of 2-inch diameter within 25 miles of a point. All right, so now when and how does it look, and what do we get today? Hey, You got to say I'm doing pretty good for a guy that woke up at 9:10 thinking, looks awfully light outside. My first text is from my boss, Tonda Shizmitter. She's like, getting a late start today? Ooh, I got to do something with my new phone. I believe the alarm sound is set on like a really silent vibrate. So maybe that's not set yet. But I was tired. He had me up from 3 to 5. All right, so radar forecast, high resolution, rapid refresh. You know, we like that. Brett Machino spent yesterday getting ultrasound on his dog. Okay, that means you need a part-time job, right? Rick Reed, good morning from Ann Arbor. Looks like West Michigan is in bullseye for strong storms tomorrow. Yes, timing will be everything. So this is today, and I would say what I'm saying is it's showery around the Traverse City area, Charlevoix, Petoskey, Mackinac City, Gaylord. Time of the year where a lot of field trips go to Mackinac City, probably left already, but from southern Michigan. But if not, make sure you take the raincoat pack the raincoat with your child. This is this evening. So again, just scattered random meandering rain showers will stick around northwest lower. And we go into tomorrow. Now we're at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, 3 and 4 and 5. The one thing we don't like is when we don't have any thunderstorms in the morning to run the cloud, to put up cloudiness. So we don't have that tomorrow. And look at the high resolution rapid refresh. This would be 9 o'clock tomorrow evening, 10, 11, midnight, 1. So, 9 to midnight, we'll be getting on the better side of severe weather, but with the dynamic strong, this is what it looks like. Now, let's go to our other, hey, let's grab one thing. Now, remember, the one thing we love about the high-resolution rapid refresh, the two phrases in it, high resolution, you saw that radar forecast is actually the same resolution as a real radar, and then rapid refresh, very important. That means it runs every hour with new data. So it runs out 18 hours on most runs because we do it so frequently, but every 6 hours they give us a longer run, and that longer run is coming in right now. So I just showed you an older run 6 hours ago because I wanted to go out into Thursday, not just 18 hours. This is the brand new one. So this is the freshest. Kyle Edmark, thank you for the weather humor. But so this is the same scenario for today. Concentrated areas of showers northwest lower. Not much southern lower. Overnight tonight, maybe a random shower in the far southeast. And now we're not getting quite to, we only have 36 hours in, but this is 8 o'clock on the new run. And so it may be about an hour earlier. We like this model too. U.S. gets knocked for models, but we have a few that are really good. The European versus GFS, 3, 4, 5, 6 days out. The European smokes the GFS, the U.S. model. But in the short term, we are the only ones in the world to have things like this for convection and severe weather. So this is another model that I like, and let's see what it does. And it has actually a little bit different of a look to the severe weather. This is 9 o'clock tomorrow, so we're definitely establishing that it's 8 to midnight or 9 to 1 a.m. type thing. But note that it has the severe weather in the southern half of the state. This is 1 a.m. and then 2 a.m. and it's on out and we quiet down. So it's a quick blast. And if you look at any scenario like this, you're talking 1 hour at any one spot of rain, and you're talking 10, 15 minutes of severe weather in any one spot. All right, carry on to the weekend. The weekend's going to be a little bit different. So now we go to the European, and this is what it does for the severe weather. It brings it through about the same time, maybe middle of the night, Thursday night. Then Friday gets us into drier air behind the cold front until Friday night. Saturday morning, it swings through maybe a line of thunder showers, probably not severe. And then as we go to the weekend, you see that wraparound cyclonic curvature. That's cloudy, showery in the north, not a rain out, just cloudy and showery. And in the south half, it's more clouds than sunshine, probably. Temperatures. All right, low to mid 70s today. Tomorrow, in the sunshine, ahead of the storms, into the 80s, and look at Illinois into the low 90s. So you can see why there's enough fuel for severe storms. This is Friday, highs in the low 80s. Then Saturday, 70 Detroit, 69 Ann Arbor. Then we go to 65 in Flint and 61 Grand Rapids. Then we go to Sunday, and let's see here. Then we go to Sunday, chilly. Saturday, Sunday, 60s, maybe 50s north. I don't know about 40s. It's possible because the lakes are still only in the 40s. And then Monday back to the 60s. And you'll notice that this ensemble mode keeps us pretty cool. May 26, 27, 28. I don't really know if it will stay that cool, but it will be cooler than normal. And the Climate Prediction Center says, yes, they believe at 6 to 10 day, 8 to 14 day, all cooler than normal, starting to turn warmer than normal. All right, we got through some of this. Let's go back. If you want to hang on with me here, let's do some surfing of some severe weather parameters. I didn't have a chance to do it. Like I said, I'm sorry. Our beagle of 21 and a half years, I heard on Mother's Day morning, I heard like a couple of his barks outside in the yard, just the kind that's like, if you have kids, you're like, yeah, that didn't sound right. And I was like, that didn't sound right. So I went out and looked, and he's laying there in his yard, and his right back leg is just like this, not in pain. We can tell when our dog is in pain. He's a beagle, and his ears are always flipped like this. And if he's in pain, he's like this. He hasn't yelped on pain or anything. He was just yelping on Mother's Day just because he wanted someone to let him know he couldn't get back up the stairs and into the house. So it's take out, carry him out, bend over, all that stuff. All right, so let's get to some severe weather stuff, okay? So this is kind of what we would call live surfing. And we're going to look at some of the parameters. First off, what I would say over my 36 years experience is a lot of people feel that the higher the severe weather threat is on that scale, the more it will happen. And what I've first like to start you with is, let me go back to it. What I'd first like to start you with, there we are, is the higher ones, the higher risks oftentimes are all or nothing. And I use this analogy of two scenarios. You have a small can of gas and a match, and you're sitting 4 feet away from it, and you strike the match and you throw out the can of gas. Probably a pretty low likelihood of that match still being lit and hitting the gas. When you get to the higher severe weather risks, the gas can is bigger, you're only 2 feet away, and you've got a match that maybe is bigger and lasts a little longer. Of course, the chance is higher, but it still can be an all or nothing. And if it goes to severe weather, then in the higher risks, it usually turns into something more widespread. So we look at things like upper level winds. So let me poke through here and see what we can find together. Here's the, and by the way, we have the high resolution rapid refresh all the way in now. So we were just looking at that and it was just coming to an end. So this is the brand new one, and it brings the storms into Grand Rapids around, let's see here. Oh, just a second. I'm trying to find you again. Okay, here we are. All right. So it brings the severe storms into western Michigan, into Grand Rapids at 9 o'clock. So 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And can you see down there in the very southwest corner how it has the more ominous supercell nature? That's what the Storm Prediction Center is talking about, is there's a little wedge in there coming out of northern Illinois that would have the chance for stronger tornadoes or stronger tornadoes. So we'll watch that. 11 o'clock, midnight, Saginaw, Lansing, Jackson, Ann Arbor, Detroit. That is on the verge of when things start to weaken, but with upper level dynamics, they may not. All right, so let's look at some upper level dynamics. Let's look at the 500 millibar wind. That's going to be up around 15,000 feet. We look for a jet core. We look for a few things. So this is at 10 p.m. And what we look for is a jet core, which is down in Illinois. Let me grab a different perspective here. Let me grab a little bit wider perspective, hopefully. Yes, okay, there we go. All right, just bear with me. We'll get some stuff. All right, so this is 10 o'clock tomorrow night. A couple of things I notice here. First off, we have what we call upper level divergence. So you see the streamlines, you see the arrows, and you see some of them from Illinois into Indiana to Ohio curve toward the southeast, southeast. And then the ones in Wisconsin and the UP curve toward the north. And it leaves a little void in there. Northern Illinois into southwest Michigan. And that's a void aloft, which acts as a vacuum to suck the air from the surface. And remember, the rising air process is the main process, the number one process that produces precipitation and eventually severe weather. It may seem counterintuitive, but the rising air wedge, and then you see the jet core. The jet core is down there in Illinois, and we look at the what's called the how do we call it? The front left quadrant, which would be northern Illinois, northwest Indiana, far southwest Michigan. It may not be just in sync, which would be very nice. Okay. Now let's go a little bit higher. Sometimes the jet core looks a little bit more clear cut as we go up to 30,000 feet in the atmosphere. So we're at the same time period there, and it doesn't look classic on the upper level winds. Let's look at Let's look at CAPE, convective available potential energy. That gives us the amount of gas can in my analogy. So here we go. 9 o'clock tomorrow night. So what do you see there? You see some reds in the southwest corner. Those are capes of around 3,000. That's significant. That's enough energy, definitely. That's enough energy for significant severe weather. And I like this because it changes hour by hour. That's 11 o'clock at night. That's midnight. So note my thought that as we go toward midnight, the instability wanes. Then we go to 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. and the instability is really coming down. I just want to look at one last thing. And that is, we know the winds aloft are out of the southwest. We don't want to see south or southeasterly winds. And that's what the Storm Prediction Center is talking about. Let me go back to a closer look for you here. So what we found that on tornadoes, one of the most important things is the surface shear, the wind twisting from southeast at the surface to south just above the surface to southwest aloft. And when we go to it even, now watch this, it even tries to forecast at 9 p.m., it tries to forecast a little circulation on a supercell. I've actually never seen that. And that would be where you could have some sort of tornado. Now, I wouldn't take this model as accurate at 37 hours out. Let me see if I can go in and actually get something closer for you. Bear with me just a second so we can take a look at that. This is really important here. So we're going to try, sometimes I can get a southern Michigan. Yeah, here's a Detroit sector. So let's go to that, and you'll probably be able to see it a little bit closer. So we go to 6 o'clock ahead of the storms. That's a southeast wind in southwest lower Michigan. That would not be good. Here's 8, 9, 10. Can you see that circulation that it forms? That is very odd. I've actually never ever seen that. I've seen it forecast tornadic supercell thunderstorms, you know, the shape of them, but I've never seen it do that at the surface. So that'll be kind of interesting. So point is, tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock at the earliest current timing, more likely 8 in the southwest, 8 to 9 Grand Rapids, Muskegon, and then in the next 2 or 3 hours carrying across lower Michigan. Today, pesky showers in the north, unless you need the rain. In the north, you can have some sand and it always dries out quickly. And of course, we had that red flag warning, so we do need the moistening up so we can get the campgrounds going, the campfires and whatnot. Hey, thanks for joining me. Thank you for saying a prayer for Bagel. Yes, please. If anybody has any methods to get one leg back working, the other leg, you know, if he was younger, I would say he would compensate. He's already trying to compensate and walk on 3 legs, and we can kind of hold him and he can make it a little ways. So we're not, you know, putting him to sleep just yet because his face says, I'm not in pain. I want to live. And we had this with one of our other beagles, and she jumped off a couch, which I know is bad, and all of a sudden her back legs went limp, and it lasted about a week or 2, and then they gradually came back. So we're hoping. In the meantime, I'm going to try to get a nap. You know, it's almost going back to like having a 1-year-old kid. You sleep when they're sleeping, something like that. Take care. Thanks for joining me, and I will keep you updated here on MLive.com/ weather. Bye.